welcome to yet another FPL video. Now, I have made a preview for Game Week 15, so if you haven't already, check that out. But what I'm going to be doing in this video is a bit similar to something I've done last season when I did a chip strategy video. I'm going to be also looking at a spreadsheet and planning ahead, not just for Game Weeks 18 and 19, but also just thinking about afterwards. And this chip strategy is something that's going to be very popular. And I'm going to be discussing the pros and cons, especially related to my team. And it's very important for everyone to know that this is, a lot of these things that I'm going to be talking about are related to my team, and it's going to differ between each person. You're going to have different players. You're going to want different players compared to me as well. I mean, I might not want some of your players. You might not want some of the players I'm interested in. And also team value, our team structure is going to be completely different. So there's no formula for getting, the chip strategy right. And if we're being honest, it's impossible to navigate through every single blank and double game week that's going to happen up until game week 37. And prepare perfectly for every single one of those eventualities. It's impossible, but we have to prioritize. For example, game week 26 could be a bigger game week than game week 19, but we don't know that yet. And we'll have to wait and see. More information will be coming by game week 24 around that. So it's very important to plan, but also I would say try not to use all of your chips. It's very important to try save as many as possible. And if you think you're going to optimize your points by using it in game week 25, 26, 29, game week 18, 19, then, that ultimately depends on your opinion and also your team and the circumstances surrounding it. So it's very important to, have a note of that. And it's very important to also look at the fixtures for game weeks 15 all the way to 19 and also afterwards, because some of these players that you're looking to get out, like Grealish, for example, you might want to get back in after from game weeks 20 onwards. It's very important to have to be on top of all of these things and to plan ahead. But of course, you don't want to just, go back to the dull stuff and make FPL boring. But it's important to, be a step ahead and to plan. And if you lot enjoy this sort of stuff, then, that's even better. But at the moment, what I'm thinking of is potentially free hitting in game week 18, as you can see here, and using either the triple captain or bench boost in game week 19. Now, I'll be explaining the thought process of, why I would, consider each of these, eventualities and, playing either chip in game week 19. Maybe I could hold both of them and save them for game weeks 26 and onwards, but there's no guarantee that the likes of Liverpool will have a double game week then, and you might have fewer options if you are, the type to want a triple captain Mo Salah. And to be honest, you could even do that for game week 15, as I've discussed already. But there's a lot of things that you can do, and I think there's even more variation in terms of what you can do. But I'll be explaining this. So all the players highlighted in green are players with a double game week, and the players in blue, pretty much all of them have a double game week too, but they're highlighted in blue to, because they are new transfers. So it's a way of distinguishing them from the rest. But what I am thinking at the moment is, for example, we see Chilwell, he is injured and he could miss game week 15. And Matip, for example, has West Brom at home. Now, I don't have the funds to go to Robertson, who has been in great form recently, but as I keep on saying, 7.2 million is too much. And if I want to get him in, I would have to turf through my team structure. And unfortunately, I am 0.2 million off from doing Kane to Vardy and Chilwell to Robertson, unfortunately. But it is what it is. And that is the card I've been dealt. And if I'm looking at it now, to be honest, the keeper, for example, I know a lot of you would want to maybe replace Martinez with McCarthy or something like that. And that's something I wouldn't want to do anyway, because I know the next 3 or 4 game weeks, let's say from game week 16 all the way to 19, are very tough for Aston Villa. Afterwards, from game week 20 onwards, Aston Villa have some very good fixtures, and you'd probably want to keep Martinez. And I'm not the type to, want to change keepers. But as you can see here, Johnston's highlighted, and he would be coming in for Forster. But how would I enable those moves? Well, Chilwell to Matip would leave me with 1 million in the bank. And Matip, of course, he's great cover for Liverpool. The only problem is he is injury prone. But if I look at the rest of the defence, Trent is 7.2 million. So is Robertson. I can't afford them, simply put, unless I, take mega hits, maybe -8. And I don't want to do that. And I'd probably be worsening my team overall. So that's a no-go for me. So Matip could come in. He is a double game week player. So he replaces Chilwell on that front. And if not, another possibility is holding Chilwell. But if we look at game week 16, for example, where I could use one free transfer, I wouldn't be able to afford, all the other players for a bench boost if we're looking at that. So let's say with the money, the 1 million in the bank, I would be able to afford Kilman to Taylor, who's probably going to be going up in price. I mean, for 4.5 million, he is the best asset for sure in defence. And with that 1 million, I could definitely afford him. And, if I kept Chilwell, I would have 0.2 million in the bank. So that would be impossible for me to go to Taylor. So that already rules that transfer out if I, keep Chilwell. And if I look at it, I do have Zuma to cover Chelsea. And it's not like their fixtures in game week 19 are so amazing that you have to have double Chelsea defence. But of course, it is still, a decent option to have. And it's something that I was planning on having. But of course, like I said, I can't have Taylor, who would be good anyway, just beyond game week 19, where one of their fixtures is Liverpool. Let's, bear that in mind. But Taylor is, one of those great options you can have from the bench. And if someone's injured or being rotated in your main 11, he can come in and get some points for you. But yeah, with Matip coming in for Chilwell, for game week 15, I could also get Taylor for Kilman in game week 16. And then when I look forward, another double game week player in Vardy, he could come in for Harry Kane. And I know Kane faces Leeds, I think, on that week. And he's a great captaincy option for that. Vardy is still great for game week 17 and 19. And for game week 18 with the free hit, Harry Kane can literally just come back in and form an 11. And if I look at my current team actually for game week 18, this would be the problem if, I wanted to keep things as they are. So if we look at the game week 18 fixtures, I pretty much have no one. And I've already gone through this before. But Sheffield and Newcastle have none of their players after transferring out Wilson a few game weeks ago. Wolves and Everton, I've only got Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Kilman. But Kilman is, in and out of the starting lineup. And it's not someone I would want to have anyway. Then you look at Man City, Brighton. I've literally got no cover whatsoever from those teams. Of course, I did get Diaz in, last week, and then I got him out. But this not worth talking about, is it? And then Villa and Spurs, I've got 2 players each, so that's fair enough. I've got 4 of them, but I've got no one from Arsenal or Palace, so I've got 5 players overall, and it's just not good enough, really. I mean, I do have Basuma actually, but I wouldn't want to have him. He's gonna pretty much get 1 or 2 points maximum probably. So yeah, not really too keen on game week 18. But the problem I have with free hitting in game week 18, and I know this is a very popular tactic, to free hit in game week 18 and to bench boost in 19. Now, the problem I have with this method is that no matter if you have 2 free transfers saved or if you make free transfers before you activate the free hit, that free hit cancels out that transfer and you are left with 1 free transfer for game week 19. No matter if you have saved 2, it doesn't matter if you've saved 1, 0 or 2. You're going to have 1 free transfer for game week 19. And of course, that does put you at a slight disadvantage, especially if you want to fill your starting lineup with double game week players and have a strong bench, as you can see here. So unfortunately, if I were to free hit and bench boost for game week 19, I would have to take a -4 hit involving Johnston, which is not ideal whatsoever. I never advocate -4 hits. And I know he's got 2 game weeks, but the fixtures aren't even that good for West Brom. And West Brom are poor. Let's face it, Johnston's a good option for 4.5 million because of bonus points and his save points. But if we're being realistic, it's not really ideal. And the other player in question would be Souček, as you can see. But as for Vardy, Taylor and Matip, what I'm thinking about at the moment is to actually make these free transfers, as you see. So Vardy, Taylor and Matip within the next 3 game weeks or so. Or if not, I could save Kane for game week 17 and get Vardy in for game week 19. And I would not get Souček and Johnston, and I could literally just play, 2 of these players. Maybe I could bench Grealish and I could play Son and DCL, and I'd probably play Martinez too. And if I do want, the likes of Souček, I could get him in, but I wouldn't want a bench boost, and I could save that bench boost and use it in conjunction with my second wildcard. Now, I have to say this, and this isn't, something set in stone. This doesn't mean it's guaranteed points, but last year, my best ever week came from a bench boost that came just after the second wildcard, and I believe it's when Project Restart happened. And it was so good to mix both of them together, because with the second wildcard, you could also look ahead to future game weeks. You have more flexibility because you can literally change everything in your team, and you could assemble a great squad for the double game week, and you could literally have a bench full of double game week players too. And that's why I did so well. I got 127 points, I believe. And that's more of what I want to target this season. So if I'm being honest, although I could, bench boost by just taking a -4, which is fine, and I would have a bench of Martinez, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Son and Grealish, which is very strong, I do think that in future I could build, a team where I wouldn't have to take a -4. I could get better players than Johnston and Souček potentially. and I could use that bench boost in game week 26 and use the wildcard in 25 to prepare my team for that. And then for the other 3 or 4 game weeks before blank game week 29, I could use free transfers to navigate that. And by then we should know who's going to blank in game week 29 and look forward from there. And if I do go through that, chip strategy, I would maybe consider triple captaining in game week 19, the likes of Salah. But then when we look at that, there are problems as well. I mean, his record isn't particularly great against Manchester United or Burnley, and they're not necessarily easy teams, to break down or, for Liverpool to beat, I guess. But I do expect Liverpool to win both of their games. But is Salah the best triple captaincy option when there maybe could be better fixtures for him? I'm not so sure. But like I said, there is a possibility that Salah and Liverpool don't have another double game week for the rest of the season, or at least not in a mega double game week. It might be just a small double game week, such as double game week 37 or something like that. So there's a lot of permutations and a lot of different factors that come into it. But ultimately, my plan at the moment is to free hit game week 18. But when I look at it across the board, I am not too confident in this team. Like, I think it will obviously outperform, my current team because I'm literally adding players. And I only have 3 or 4 or 5 available anyway. So this would be an upgrade and it would help me navigate game week 18. But when I want that, for game week 29 fixtures, which are yet to be confirmed, by the way, then maybe I will be at disadvantage back then. But like I said, free transfers, 3-4 weeks in order to prepare for that after a wild card, it could be done. And it's probably better than... because if I look at my current team now and let's say I build my team towards game week 18, I would have to tear apart the actual double game week players I have and either force myself into a free hit or wildcard for game week 19, and I don't want to play my wildcard early. I want to save it for later on. And if I look at my double game week players, I already have plenty, to be honest. I mean, this is my team at the moment, and even if I do keep Chilwell and don't get Matip, I pretty much have 7 players. I got the full defense pretty much. They all have a double game week. Then I have a Bruno. He's got a double game week, Bamford and Zuma, and Salah's another one. So that's a lot of players. And you know what? I'm pretty happy with that. But of course, adding 1 or 2 like Vardy, like Taylor, like Matip, which obviously would enable me to make the Taylor move, for example. I mean, that would be very good. But it's a difficult one. And either way, actually, I could just get Vardy and Taylor and keep Chilwell. But of course, it's a tough one. And I would have to say, if I were to get Matip after game week 19, when he's got Spurs and the fixtures turn a bit for Liverpool, I wouldn't want to get him, and I could get Diaz in, as you can see here. He could replace Matip, and he has 3 good game weeks before the fixtures turn, and then City play the likes of Everton, Liverpool, Spurs, so that does get tough. And ultimately, if I'm being honest, if I were to get the likes of Souček and all these players, I would ultimately not want them in my squad in the long term because I'd want to free up funds in order to give me more flexibility with other transfers and just basically get the likes of Basuma yet again and also Forster for Johnston and save money, and I'd have around 1.3 million if I revert back to my normal team, something like that. But of course, something that obviously isn't taken into account with this spreadsheet, as you can see, is the changes in price. Of course, some players that you're going to bring in, they're going to go up in price by the time you get them, and when you sell them, the selling price is going to be different. And some of the players you want to get in, like Diaz, for example, he's already gone up to 5.7 million, by the way. If I were to get him in game week 20, he's probably going to be 5.8, 5.9 million. So that kind of, it already shows some of the problems, of course. You can plan as much as you want, but in the end of the day, there's going to be external factors that come into play, and you also have to be prepared to improvise and to go around them. But of course, as you can see from every single game week, I've already kind of planned my captain and vice captain, and it obviously would change. So if I do keep Kane for game week 17, he would be my captain most likely, and Salah would be my vice. But yeah, Vardy, as much as he's a really good option and he's outperforming Kane in the last 5-6 game weeks, he's not someone I would look to captain because Leicester is just such an unpredictable team. So that is a tough one. But Spurs have been very poor in the last 3 game weeks, and Kane's only return really was a long shot that should have been saved by Gaeta. So he is someone I am considering getting rid of. And the likes of Matip and Diaz are players I am interested in for my defence overall in the long term. But if I look at my midfield and attack, not just because of value tied into the likes of Grealish and DCL, I actually do want to keep them because, like I said, their fixtures from game week 20 onwards are really good. So let's have a look now. into some of the game weeks, after game week 19. So let's say you want to get rid of Aston Villa players, yeah? Well, after in game week 20, they've got Burnley away. That is a good fixture. I know they drew 0-0 recently, but the likes of Grealish and Martinez are great options for that game week. Then you look at Dominic Calvert-Lewin, for example, another one who's going to be transferred out heavily because of the double game weeks in mind. He's got Leicester at home, which isn't necessarily a bad fixture, and he is fixture-proof anyway. We look at game week 21, and Villa, their fixtures are really good. Southampton away, that's another good one. And then when you look at Everton, they've got Newcastle at home. So it's a really tough one. If you look at these fixtures on the whole, yeah, it looks a bit shaky all the way up until game week 19, but you'd want to get him back. And let's say you had him at 7 million or something like that, you would just want to get him back. So if we look at the list view here, Calvert-Lewin is just someone you don't want to get rid of, if we're being honest. But you know what? It's a tough one. You can't have everyone you want. And Calvert-Lewin, like I said, and Grealish, they're going to have great fixtures coming up, I'm telling you. And you will want to get them back in because around Grealish's price and below, there's no one better. And same with Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I have to keep on stressing it. And the likes of Salah and Bruno, some of you might want to, get rid of them if you're preparing for game week 18, but you'd want them for game week 19. And even if their fixtures are tough afterwards, you want to get Salah and Fernandes in. So that's why these are my thoughts at the moment. And if I'm being honest, if I were to kind of edge towards one plan, because like I said, I could either triple captain or bench boost in game week 19, it's probably to triple captain Salah in game week 19 and leave my bench boost for game week 26. And I would wildcard in game week 25 and prepare a team potentially of 15 players who have double game weeks or as many as I can. Because ultimately, not only do you want to prepare for that double game week coming up, you also want to have a good team afterwards because you don't want to, make a great team for that game week and then, he's not looking very good for game week 27 and 30 and I have to get rid of him and I want to get this guy who obviously I've missed out because of the double game week. There's so many things to consider. And even then, you don't have to triple captain someone in a double game week. Look at game week 15, Salah's got West Brom. That is a great choice, potentially, for triple captaining him. But, I look at my team overall, like I said, I'm very happy with it. But if you are trying to navigate through these game week 18, 19 fixtures, ultimately, it's not good enough to just stand still and not make any transfers because you want to still maximize the points for those weeks. But then again, you don't want to tear through your team structure. So, like I said, my plan at the moment is to potentially get Matip in for Chilwell. And then afterwards, I can get Taylor and Vardy for Kane and Kilman. And then from there, game week 19, play all of them and play all these double game week players. Maybe leave the likes of Dominic Calvert-Lewin or Grealish on the bench. But Son, for all of those people who are so fixated on getting rid of Spurs players, I mean, in game week 19, they play the worst team in the league in Sheffield United. And Son and Kane are great captaincy options even then for game week 19. So it's very tough. And there's a lot of things to consider, of course. I mean, certain teams are going to have, fixture swings. Spurs are one of them, starting from game week 16 onwards. And you know what? Some of these players you want to get back in anyway after game week 20, like Grealish, like Dominic Calvert-Lewin. So like I said, at the moment, my plan is to make these free transfers, build for game week 19, free hit in game week 18, and probably either use the triple captain in game week 19 or use no chip there and save my triple captain for another game week, which is obviously yet to be confirmed. In game week 25, wildcard, and in game week 26, I will bench boost. But it's very hard to say, for sure, because the game week 26 fixtures might not even be that good anyway. But one thing to consider is that, let's say, for example, Aston Villa against Newcastle, that is a double game week that can go into game week 26. So that's a really good one for Aston Villa. But then when Aston Villa play Man City, which obviously should have been played from game week 1, but it didn't, that could be moved to either game week 24 or game week 27, which are the smaller double game weeks. So there's so many things that are yet to be confirmed. We have an idea, but we don't, have the full picture at the moment. So it's very tough to say, this is what you have to do. This is the out and out thing that you must do for your team and you will get the most points available. There's no guarantee at all. But in my opinion, if you're going to free in game week 18, you have to know that you only have one free transfer for game week 19. No matter if you've saved 2, you have to know these things. And if you are going to use your bench boost in 19, you're not going to be able to use in game week 26 where you might want to do it. And even then, the free hit could be used in game week 29, 33. So many things you can do. You could still use in a double game week, but in my opinion, a free hit, what I want to do is use it in a blank game week, and the bench boost I definitely want to use in the double game week, so it will be either between game week 19 or 26 for sure. They are the big double game weeks coming up. And as for my triple captain, yeah, probably a fixture like West Brom at home for Salah, or a double game week. That's definitely going to be the plan. And my second wild card, I'm 90% sure that I will play it around game week 25, or if not later, or maybe slightly before game week 24 maybe, because I want to optimize the points as much as possible. And when I look at my team, that is what I think. And with the likes of Chilwell, I know a lot of you have been asking for replacements for him, and if you have enough budget, of course, you can go to Robertson or Matip. I think a Liverpool defender, especially with the double game week coming up, is crucial. But when you look at other defenders, you could even go to Zuma or Reece James if he's fit, and you save money there, and you can upgrade your bench and play your bench boost in game week 19, for example. If not, Dyer is still an option. A West Ham defender, Southampton defender like Soufal, Walker-Peters, Vestergaard, Creswell, all of these are viable options. And even then, if you're building for game week 18 and you don't have a City player, definitely get Diaz, maybe Cancelo or Stones. They are all great choices. But if I am looking at my game week 18, this is probably the team I would free hit to. So for all of those people who have been asking, what would you free hit to? This is something very similar to what I would do. So let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Do you think this is the best? Maybe get Edison for Martinez and get another defender for the likes of Cancelo or Diaz. These are all viable options, and I would like to hear your thoughts. But for game week 18, with the fixtures obviously that we have, Martinez in goal, Reguilon, Cancelo, Diaz in the defence, Son, KDB possibly as captain, you could do that, Grealish, Zaha, and then to complete the forward line, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Kane and Wilson. And the bench would be, Forster. To be honest, you don't want to spend too much money on a backup keeper. You just pick a keeper and just go with it. And then Mina, Neto, Target, they're kind of cheap, but they could come in. So let's say, for example, Cancelo doesn't play a single minute, then one of these players can come in and do the job for you. But that's pretty much, what I've planned at the moment, and I think I will free hit in game week 18. But like I said, I'm trying to be as flexible as possible, should I say, and leave my options open. But it's tough, you have to think of all these things, but new circumstances can arrive, and the Chilwell injury is just one example of that. And you can still keep him. Like I said, he's a double game week player, and he should be back by around game week 17, 18 at the latest, I think. But I'm no doctor, I couldn't tell you for sure. But that is my transfer plans at the moment, looking forward into the long term, and also my chip strategy, at this moment in time. But it might have been slightly different just before the news was announced that there was going to be a blank game week 33 because of the Carabao Cup final being moved to April. Things change so quickly, and it's important, like I said, to be open-minded, because if you just, are rigid and stick to one thing, it might cost you in the end, because things change and you want to adapt. And if you don't adapt, unfortunately, you're not going to get the points you want. But thank you for watching this video, and I will be making more chip strategy videos in the future. And tell me what you liked about this video, what you didn't like. And of course, like I said, I will be making, I will make a video on game week 18, talking about free hit in more detail if you want, and also a team for game week 19. So not just looking at my team that you saw there, of course, but for those of you who could literally get anyone you want. And this is something that I got asked in the stream, and I actually made a video live, in front of all of you, and I put together a game week 19 team. But I can do the same again and possibly make some changes with more time to think about it. And like I said, you want to have a good team for those game weeks. Same with game weeks 26 and 29. But ultimately, there are so many game weeks beforehand. So bear that in mind. When you're taking out the likes of Kane and he hauls, don't be surprised, because he's got great fixtures coming up. And he's been in great form this season overall. So yeah, just try to be open-minded. That would be my best advice to you. And if you have any questions, leave them down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, smash the like button. Subscribe if you're new. We're trying to get to 2,000 subscribers, and we're almost at 1,900, so I really appreciate it. And yeah, definitely keep thinking about chip strategies. Think long-term, but don't let it just, dominate your thoughts. You also want to think about these game weeks coming up and have a good team for those game weeks, because otherwise you might not be in a good position come the double game weeks and the blank game weeks to actually push on and go to where you want to be if you just sacrifice other game weeks in the process. But thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.